Catch 'em all.
Hi guys, today we'll be going over the nested queries in SQL. If you like this tutorial, please give it a like and leave all your questions in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification button so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. Let's start then. Nested queries, also called subqueries or inner queries. A nested query is usually used to return data that will be used in our main query as a condition or a filter to restrict the data that we are querying. Let's go over this example so we will see how we'll be using a nested query. I'm going to put these requirements here to help us actually walk through the query that we will be building. So the first thing we'll be looking for is a population of all expired credit cards. And out of those rows, we need to find out the email tied to the owner of those credit cards so we can notify them and let them know that they need to update their credit card within our system. In order to do that, we need to build our query here. Have a table called sells that credit card. So these are the results from that table. We only need to find the ones where the expired CC, which stands for credit card, flag is set to yes. Okay. Now this is our population here. For all expired credit card, I'm going to scroll all the way down so you will see that everything has a yes under expired credit card. Now we need to find the owners of these credit cards so we can tell them, and by the way, those credit cards here are fake. None of them is a true credit card. So this is just for the purpose of this tutorial. And as you can see here, all the companies' names they don't even exist as a credit card company probably. And this data is provided by Microsoft company. So let's say here, I don't need to return all the columns. I only need the credit card ID. And we need to know what credit card type is. How it's called, card type. And we need the expiration month and expiration year. So let's say we only need to return these columns. Good. Now that we determined all the expired credit cards, let me add this column here so I can show you again that we are only going or targeting expired credit cards just for the sake of the example. So I'm going to remove it now. I don't need it. Now out of these population here or rows, we need to map in the email address that we need to notify. And in order to do that, we will need to join another table. And in order to do that, we will need to create a nested query. So let's wrap this query here between two parentheses. And let's move it a bit to the right. Then we will need to start our query here. So we are going to use the person credit card table, and we will alias it as PCC. And we need to join this query here to this table. But let's alias this subquery here as EX for expired. Now our join will be on person credit card that credit card ID equal to EX that credit card ID. So this table here, person credit card, and our subquery, they both have a common column, which is the credit card ID, this column here. So we have to use this table to join it to a third table that has the email address. And that table is called person that email address. And let's call it EML. And we need to join it on the PCC that business entity ID equal to EML that business entity ID. Now let me drag this down so we can read the whole query here. Okay, so from the PCC table, we need to return the business entity ID, and from the expired subquery, we need to return every single column. And in SQL, I can do it this way, in a way that I don't have to type all the column names. I will just do return from PCC a column called business entity ID, which will be brought from this table, and from the EX table or query, because this is a subquery, we can consider it also as a table. We alias it as EX over here, so we will be returning all the columns from the EX table. And when I say all the columns, meaning every single column that we mentioned within the nested query. Now, from our last table, which is the email address, we need to return the customer's email address. So we will put EML that email address. So by running this query, we are actually limiting all this query here that we built to only target what was returned from our nested query here, because we have the right join. And remember, from all the join types that we have gone through on a previous tutorial, whenever we have a right join, the table on the right side of the join is the one that drives the whole query. So pretty much anything within the population of this query will drive the whole query. Now, the results from this subquery are stated here in the result set. As you can see, we return the credit card ID, card type, expiration month, expiration year, and a flag. This flag was just for an example, so I'm not returning it. Let me run a fresh data set here. Okay, now for these expired credit card, I need an email address to contact or to communicate with. Now let's run our whole query, and you will see this is the population of all expired credit cards from our subquery over here. These are the result for our subqueries. And as for the email address, we brought it from this table here. And the business identity ID, we brought it from our first table here, which called PCC, person credit card. This is how we run subqueries, and we can also use the subquery or nested query as a where or within a where clause. And let me show you how we can do that. Let me just copy this query here so I don't have to type it again. And what we can do here, we can say where the PCC credit card ID is in, and I can say distinct Okay, so literally what this does, then I don't need this ones. I will only be returning the business entity ID and the email address that goes with it. So I can notify them and tell them, hey, your credit card has expired. What we will do here, we will be bringing just the unique credit card IDs that have expired. And we will say where the PCC credit card ID from this table is within the list of all these expired credit card over here. So let's run it and it will make more sense to you guys. Okay, so for each customer here, we have their email address, and these customers within all these results, the 4,743 customers, they all have an expired credit card. How we know that is because we specified here that we only need to look for any credit card that has expired. This is another way to use a nested query within the where clause. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial.